And just like the boys on the back street, let's take a stroll down memory lane to where the story begins. Konnichi, what's up minasan, Yonggi desu. Yonggi-baka to atarashi video e yokoso. Kyou no video wa kotoshi no saisho anime video desu. Soshite kono video wa kyonen no saidai anime ni suyoku hajimemashou. Anata ga shite iru nara, anata ga shite iru dayo. Hajime yo!
ここまでで何か質問はあるか？
とりあえずお前の絵が異常に下手な理由から聞こうが。
2022 has been tough with the capital WTF, so let's start the new year off strong with one of its highlights for many, myself included, with one of the most highly anticipated anime of the year, of recent years, with the return of one of the OG Big 3 shonen anime, back from its indefinite hiatus abyss to complete its finale arc.
なるほど、強い白度を感じる。
When it comes to manga and anime publications, shonen is the largest demographic category, and is dominated by an editorial focus on the fantastical action, adventure, and fighting the forces of evil narratives that typically revolve around the main character's transformative journey to become a hero. And while that may have elicited a long list of titles that came to your mind, I'd like to remind you that today's video will be focused on one of the OG Big 3.
俺は黒崎いちご。
Adapted from his manga, Bleach first aired as an anime across North America in the mid-2000s and had a successful run nearly spanning a decade, rising to prominence and becoming known as one of shonen's big 3, alongside One Piece and Naruto. Though somewhat sputtering out in comparison to the other two, the anime for Bleach was put on an indefinite hiatus prior to adapting its remaining source material.
大変だね、12はハイスペックで。でもさ、ちょっと羨ましいな。
Come 2022 and Bleach is back alright. To complete its story with its final arc, Bleach千年血戦篇. And just like the boys on the back street, let's take a stroll down memory lane to where the story begins. Bleach follows Kurosaki Ichigo, a hot-headed individual who's your archetypical shonen main character. He's first introduced standing up to 3 douchebags who tripped over a memorial for a young girl.
てめえら全員、あれを見ろ！この間ここで死んだガキへのお供え物。大正解！
Now would be a good time to mention that for as long as Ichigo could remember, he's always been able to see and interact with ghosts. And after running with what he learned is a hollow, a monstrous creature born from a soul unable to pass, he meets a real cutie named Kuchiki Rukia, my favorite part of Bleach, a Shinigami responsible for helping in the transmigration of souls into the afterlife. As another hollow attacks Ichigo's sisters, Rukia is critically wounded after Ichigo bullheadedly challenges the hollow head-on, saving his skin, and before the hollow finishes them off, as a last resort, Rukia decides to try transferring her Shinigami powers to Ichigo, having the blunderhead become a substitute Shinigami of sorts, arming him with the power to protect those he holds close.
俺は黒崎いちごだ。
When Bleach first came over the airways, I caught a handful of episodes, but lost interest in it midway through Ichigo's quest to save Rukia from her brother. Fast forward to a couple years after his hiatus was announced, I gave it another go, catching it on the flicks for being a recognizable title, and occasionally seeing it being referenced to on social media.
ざま、先ほど町におったものだな。
今頃気づいたのか。
妙だな。 普通私の姿を見ることなどできんはずなのに。
わけわかんねえこと言ってんじゃん。
And while I do have qualms with certain aspects of Bleach, I enjoyed it. Having Bleach return and watching the beginning of the final arc felt like being reacquainted with old friends who you haven't seen in a while. Now with the crisp animation style, it seems like we've all matured in a way. I can only imagine what Bleach's return must have meant to diehard fans.
わかったな、クソガキ。
ほざきおったな。爆動の位置。はい。
何しやがった。
After 1,000 years slumber, the greatest foe of the Shinigami have reawakened, descending upon their home to exert their vengeance, eviscerating Shinigami in their wake, with a new tool that allows them to steal a Shinigami's greatest attack, their Bankai, and using it against them.
そうか。
ささきび。
嘆くな。称えてやるべきだ。彼はたった一人で君らの行く末を指し示してくれた。
All except for one.
これまでだ、黒崎一護。奴らは挽回よ。お前の挽回は。
Bankai almost doesn't sound right if not said with a slight pause in between. Bankai! Am I right? Plus it makes it at least 5 times cooler. Ichigo's going to save the world with grit, determination, and tenacity reputable of one of the OG Big 3 shonen at battle anime. He's going to defy all odds and bounds placed against him, even himself, to reach new limits. What do you mean his sword gets snapped in two like a chopstick? Here we go again.
俺を狙って。だったら俺と差しで勝負しろ。
One aspect I really enjoyed of the first core of the final arc was the role that Ichigo's father plays. Him being a former Shinigami captain somewhat explains Ichigo's immense but latent spiritual power. Though I would have loved to see him play more of a fatherly figure role and guide throughout the series, rather than often being reduced to a cheap slapstick gag.
ただいま。この不良息子。大体な。
Just like Ichigo's father, it's no question that Bleach has its fair share of intriguing characters, to a similar degree of what they could have brought to the story. I just wish that the story leaned into and utilized them more. But this is Ichigo's story, and all of the problems that arise can be haphazardly solved with attitude, Bankai, and Getsuga Tensho.
Getsuga Tensho!
I'll be watching on as the rest of the story unfolds, even though Rukia doesn't end up with Ichigo. Rukia Ichigo, Rukia Renji, Ichigo Renji. We all know that the last ship is the one that makes the most sense. Tonikaku kyou wa kono hen desu. Arigatou gozaimashita. Genki de ite ne. 美しい人たち、じゃあ待ってね。
危なかったな。完全におめえの矢の方が危なかったろ。なんだと。
Sado can join the Ichigo Renji ship.
Izquierda del diablo. La muerte.
光じゃねえボケ。